A fence is a straight edge that is placed parallel to the direction of the cut saw blade. It is rigidly connected to the saw or table. The distance between the surface of the fence and the closest edge of the saw blade dictates the specific width of the cut. A rip fence is an integral part of any safe table saw. It is essentially a guide that helps woodworkers cut wood evenly, precisely, and safely. The fence simply looks like a metal bar that runs parallel to the saw blade. The saw operator can adjust the fence according to the width of the cut. A simple piece of metal, the rip fence is one of the most valuable parts of the saw. Table saws are precision tools for ripping lengths of wood, and to achieve this, they use a properly dialed-in fence to align the wood parallel to the blade for perfect cuts. If your fence is out of whack, you have a binding, burning, lifting force at the back of the blade. The material lifting and leaving the side of the fence, the spinning blade making contact with the underside and initiating a dangerous kickback. There are different causes of kickbacks: tension off cuts, no guard with splinter, or arriving knife. A half fence helps to reduce binding and tension. High-low blade height. The saw functions at its best when the angle of the blade teeth arc relative to the top surface of the workpiece is as extreme as possible. This facilitates chip ejection, shortens the overall distance through which the teeth act on the part, reduces power consumption and heat generation, substantially reduces the peak pushing force required, thus improving control, and causes the blade's force on the wood to act mostly downward rather than largely horizontally. When the blade is set low, the overall force of the teeth on the workpiece is generally in the forward direction. When the blade is set higher, the force is directed downward. The other issue with a low blade height is the motor drag. There is a greater drag on the motor because there are more teeth in contact with the wood at any one time, and each tooth cuts a longer path through the wood. There are many teeth in contact with the wood. In a low blade setting, there are only fewer teeth in contact with the material. As an analogy for this, take a piece of 1x4 lumber and cut it with a handsaw. For the first cut, keep the saw parallel with the 4-inch side of the wood. For the second cut, keep the saw perpendicular with the 4-inch side of the wood. It will be quickly obvious that cutting the wood is a lot easier when your saw is perpendicular to the wood, the way we normally hand cut a board. Low blade height will increase heat buildup and drag on the motor. Not only is the heat bad for the blade, but since the blade is already being slowed and the motor is operating closer to its stall rate than necessary, kickbacks are likely to occur. Low blade height will increase heat buildup and drag on the motor. Not only is the heat bad for the blade, but since the blade is already being slowed and the motor is operating closer to its stall rate than necessary, kickbacks are likely to occur.